Welcome back to Visionary Ventures. Today, we're thrilled to have Rola Diab with us, a trailblazer in business consulting and leadership strategy. With over 2 decades of steering top tier companies towards unprecedented growth, Rola brings a blend of personal insights and professional wisdom to today's conversation. Let's delve into her journey from leading a $100 million lifestyle brand to empowering global leaders through her innovative programs. First of all, thank you so much, Rola, to be here with us. It's a pleasure to connect with you and to host you on the podcast.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So, starting a bit with the journey and what did you actually do and all of that, I'm interested to, before we get into business and all of that, I am interested to know more about Rola, the person. So, can you share how your early career experiences shaped your resilience and strategic thinking?
Absolutely. There's something that stands out to me right away. And it's my first big job out of college. I ended up working for a lending company. And when I had started, brand new to the industry, had no territory, and I had to build it from zero. And I remember working really hard, like putting a lot of effort, really learning the product, it was my job to go out to lending brokers, mortgage brokers, and we were the lenders, wholesale lenders. So when I'd go out, I'd spend a lot of time exploring and diving into getting to know the major players in the market. And it was an industry that had a lot of issues from the perspective of failed, funding that would happen. So it's something that people would be very reluctant to do with someone that was new. So I had to really build myself. And I remember very clearly an experience within the first 6 months where I walked into one of the biggest mortgage brokers in the entire state of Chicago at the time, very successful office. And I was speaking with one of the brokers, and I had to send a fax machine. I think I'm aging myself right now, but I had to send a fax.
Nah, that's
And
fine.
and so I remember going to the room where the fax was, and the senior manager, the head of like the whole office, was in there, and he was conducting a small meeting. And I kind of like snuck in there, and I was like, "Excuse me, can I use the fax machine?" And I was so timid and soft. And I remember so clearly, this has stuck with me for the rest of my life, where he's like, and this is not verbatim, it's not the exact words, but the essence of it is here. He goes, "Girl, if you want to come in and ask for something, you command it. Come in and you own it, like act, like speak up."
Yeah.
And I remember being blown away because my personality is very outgoing, and I didn't realize I became so soft and timid, like the sweet, good girl, like playing that role. And until he pointed it out to me, keep in mind, this was in the first 6 months that I had started with this company. I hadn't built my territory yet. I was still trying. And I was struggling a little bit to get there. That one experience had me realize I needed to project and deliver in a different way to command authority. It was so clear to me. Now, my tone after that, my presentation to brokers changed. I started to speak more like I speak today, but it was that moment in time that I got it. And I was like, I'm going to change that. Let me tell you, I was one of the number one reps in the entire country after
Wow.
that. That's how the importance of delivery and portraying yourself in a way that commands authority, shows that you know what you're doing, the tone of voice. I mean, that honestly was, I believe, one of the biggest missing pieces on how I delivered, and that got me to be number one.
I love that. I love the fact that you still have the story in mind and it really marked you till this day. And it was, of course, one of the early pivots that shifted your strategic thinking. And later on, when you transitioned from executive roles to consultancy and being the founder of your company, what kind of mental shifts did you have back then, like a few years ago?
So just to be clear, I was working in sales for a very long time,
Okay.
and I started a consulting company after one of the companies I worked for sold, and I was like, okay, what's next for me? And because I'd done so well at sales, I decided I should start a sales training company. I've had enough experience. I've done it very well. So I went through the Kellogg Business School program for sales training and then started my business from there and got very lucky, although I don't completely believe in luck, but I created, a pretty good business, picked up Fortune 500 companies, some billion dollar businesses, and very quickly was able to create some success there. Now, in that process, there were many things that I did. Um, I got certified through Tony Robbins as a coach at one point because I love the coaching, the self-development, and I'm someone that's very obsessive about self-development, the strategies, the frameworks, everything that's going to make your life better. I want those. Whatever's going to make my life easier from that perspective, I want those. So I studied that excessively over 20 years now because I've been doing it since for a long time. And between that work that I did, and we're talking doing self-development programs that are live events that I would go to, that I would travel to every year, several programs. So I didn't do it lightly. I easily invested over $100,000 in my self-development journey. So that for me is the best form of mentorship. I read a lot regarding this type of work, and I surround myself with people that are inspirational and are in that realm of thinking, who are looking from the space of growth mindset. They want to be better. And my friends are very much like that. So I started my consulting practice. I then went into a business coaching program. I'm not going to continuously say the word lucky because luck is created.
Yeah, okay.
So, but I very quickly created success there. I ended up
You
on a
created your own
stage
success
and
and luck. Okay.
exactly. And I built up 10 coaches. I picked up business and I won an award there. I was like speaking on stage. So all of those things happen. And I believe primarily when you learn the processes behind what creates success, there are certain things that are going to support success. And so once you learn those things and you apply them consistently, you build the energy around it, you're sending your life force to it, you start to get results.
And that's exactly why I'm doing this podcast. Basically, I'm interested in these factors that you're now listing and talking about and mentioning,
Mm-hmm.
because what we're seeing nowadays is that the new, especially the new generation, they think like, I'm going to take one course and that's it. I'm going to become a millionaire. I have a brilliant idea. I'm executing it next week. Or it's very easy to make it in life and you guys don't know how to operate businesses and blah, blah, blah. So I'm hosting different people, different entrepreneurs, coaches, business people, just to see all these various factors that led for their success. Because what I'm seeing is it doesn't take one thing; it's a combination of different factors. And diving more into Rola's personal challenges. How do you cultivate mental toughness, especially among your clients?
I always say that how strong you are and how deep you are into the work that you're doing when a challenge shows up, because it always shows up. And I think often people think, well, if I only think a certain way and behave a certain way, then I'm not going to have any problems. And it's not why we're here. We're meant to grow and have experiences. It's not meant to be heaven, right? So you're
Yeah,
going to have challenges. And when you are prepared, so that, if you're really prepared, you stay strong. If you're, pretty prepared, but you still, are working on things, then you might wobble a little bit and then you can get right back to it. And then option 3 is you completely crash
yeah.
and you go into that high beta frequency brain state where you're under stress and destroying your body. The idea is to maintain your frequency. I literally just talked about this on another show. Frequency management is the most important thing that we do because that is related to what our mind is doing. And if we can maintain what our mind is doing, that is going to be the results for literally everything. Now, here's the thing. You need to combine your mind and your body, because how many times have you said, I'm going to do this, but something in your heart, something in your gut, something in your body said no. And it's like, oh, I really want to think this way, but I can't because my body is saying no. So now your body has its own intelligence that we have to recognize needs to be addressed. So how do you do that? There's somatic practices where you align your mind and your body. And that's so important to do in order to accelerate your results, because that's holding you back. It's like, I'm going to run this way, but I can't run because I'm chained to this tree over here, right? I'm trying, but I'm like trying to pull the tree with me. Okay, well, what do? You've got to make adjustments to help release yourself from that tree, right? And that's the idea, is you've got to create alignment through awareness, really understanding how you think, how you feel, how you show up, and then creating a framework that you follow. So that's something that I do consistently, is I have a framework that I follow. If I go to the dark side, which I'm human, I have my moments. If I've ever gone to the dark side, I'm like, okay, where's my process? Okay, I go through step 1, step 2,
If you
step 3. But
don't, you
I've
will be
also
normal.
done exactly. And now I do this with like over 20 years of self-development work. So that's something to consider, right? And so my process helps me, but like some people need to go even deeper and consistently do that work to get them there.
And talking about the body and the body work, so with your busy schedule, how do you prioritize your physical health to maintain that high performance? Give us a bit of that
Yeah,
framework that you have.
it's so important because you're never going to tell me, well, I can't shower because I don't have time. If we have to have a whole nother conversation if that's what you're saying, right? But
Yeah,
that's not a conversation, right? Because you know and recognize the importance of showering hopefully every day, right? So when nobody's arguing.
I
So it's
hope
like,
so.
right.
Everyone is listening. Yeah.
So if you figured that out to fit that into your day, and that takes, let's say 10, 15 minutes to get ready and do that, whatever, male, female, it's, changes according to the person, then you can do the rest of it. You just haven't prioritized enough the value of your health, the value of going deep and reflecting and starting your day in a certain frequency, right? The most important time of your day, in my opinion, is right when you wake up and right when you sleep. What kind of framework have you worked with? And if there's some negativity throughout the day, have you worked to reframe that thinking in support of a more positive mindset? So as far as the mornings go, it's my most valuable time. I wake up early, and mind you, if I know that it's going to be an early morning and I'm starting the day earlier, then I wake up earlier to fit in. I don't miss meditation. I wake up earlier to fit it in because I know
I
the
noticed that
power.
this morning. Yeah, when I texted you, you directly replied. I was like, whoa, that usually
Yeah.
doesn't happen in Dubai, by the way.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
This is a late night city, right?
yeah,
So I really value being ahead, because here's another thing. If you wake up earlier than the majority of people are waking up, you're already winning. There's a subconscious aspect of your mind that goes, I've already check marked a win for the day. To start with a frequency, even underlying, of recognizing that you already won, you've already got a win under your belt and your day hasn't even started. You just woke up. That's
but
huge.
but you're gonna also have a comment like, yeah, I don't need to wake up early, but I'm gonna be working late, and or I'm gonna be working past
I get it.
midnight. What
Sure.
about
Well,
that?
then you have to make those adjustments for your schedule. Sleep is the most important thing that you do, right? Like, if I cannot operate on sleep, I had to do a speech in Estonia for Mind Valley University, and I had 3.5 hours of sleep. Can I tell you? It was one of the biggest struggles for me because my brain was shutting down. My body was shutting down. I couldn't operate, and I had to figure out how to do that on a stage in front of all these people. I figured it out. It wasn't my best work, but you show
Yeah,
up the best that you can with the tools that you have. But if I would have gotten a normal amount of sleep, I would have killed it that day, and I would have, felt great about it. But the sleep piece, you can't compromise on that.
100%. Can you describe a wellness routine that's crucial for your productivity? Like you were starting by, I will wake up early, I'm going to prioritize my meditation. So tell us a bit more about that.
That's the majority of it. So waking up early, forget the time. So for me, I like early, but that's relative to, I mean, I know people that'll wake up at 4 a.m. So I'm not early next to them, right? So getting up, first thing I do, I don't spend time on my phone. I will meditate as soon as I meditate. And my meditation sometimes is an hour and 20 minutes, depending on
Oh,
how much time I
wow.
have that day. I
Is
have a
it a
20-minute
guided meditation
meditation.
or?
It's guided, yes. So I go deep, and the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. But the part of my meditation is not just going off to drift and tapping into the field of intelligence, which is around us. And it takes falling into a lower brain state for us to access that. But it's also visualizing that's part of that, right? I'm visualizing what I'm creating. And it's important to do that because if we understand we're creative beings, then we have to apply tapping into the frequency in an altered state, which is an alpha brain state, theta brain state, where we program the mind. And so getting into the deeper programming of the subconscious is a daily thing that I do. And let me tell you, when you're truly aligned, when you learn how to create alignment from the levels of awareness, from understanding your values, and then adding these certain practices, let me tell you, accelerated results, accelerated. So there's a bunch of things that you can do to accelerate results. And everybody, if you want to like stop spinning your wheels and working as hard, it doesn't mean you're not working. You're being smart about it, and you're getting results faster because you're doing the things that help you create faster.
What about sports and fitness activities? Is it
What
part
about
of
them?
your routine?
Yeah, I work out. I go to the gym. I take like a HIIT class or a Pilates class, depending. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Mind body connection is very important.
okay, on that. And what kind of advice do you have for a busy professional that is struggling to maintain their health?
If I was coaching someone like that, I would sit down and we would evaluate values um, and what they've given credit to, like really understanding the importance of what they're doing that's taking precedence over their health. Because it's only a matter of time that you pour liquid on an engine or, oil is actually applicable. What would ruin an engine? Pour something on an engine that could ruin it before the
Yeah,
engine is ruined, right? And then you regret it because you didn't take care of it. And this one body is all you have. And until they figure out how to put your head on another body, you probably should take care of it,
you
right?
have to take care of your vehicle, yeah, of course, because that's your
Yeah.
medium of transportation
So
and
in
life
the
on
end,
this earth. Ye-
exactly. In the end, it's just about understanding and going deeper. Because we work in generalities with the things that we skip over things that we've made less important because we're going too general. If we start to dissect it, understand at a deeper level, be less general, we get more into a deeper understanding of the values and the reasons behind why we're doing things. We're going to be able to create change from there.
100%. And do you integrate wellness strategies into your leadership training programs?
Absolutely, you have to. Self-development strategies, the alignment strategy is in my leadership program.
Amazing. Okay, thank you for that. Moving a bit towards spirituality, I know that we started the topic and you were talking about the meditation and all of that, but I'm interested more on the not spiritual per se, but more on the philosophical approaches that you
Okay.
take. So, like any beliefs and values that guide you in your approach to business and leadership.
Yes. So I am under the belief that we are all connected, right? When we look at the world and start to learn about metaphysics, we understand that everything is connected energetically, right? There's entanglement theory that, put energy on something, we're now entangled with that energy, right? There's a reason why people feel things. When you think about someone and they call you, there's that entanglement. And so because there's an energy that we're part of that energy in the world, we're connected to each other, then I believe that whatever frequency I'm emitting internally is so important, whether I think I'm just sending it to myself or sending it to someone else. If I'm angry, resentful, whatever that negative feeling is, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm angry at them. Well, I'm creating the frequency, this low vibrational frequency in my body for myself. Forget that other person. I'm creating it internally. And now that frequency, that low vibrational energy is now affecting my body, my energetic field. And now I'm trying to create from that. And if I want to really create big things in the world, then that type of energy needs to be released. So I'm the type of person, if I don't have any resentment, no anger, nothing towards anybody, not one person on the planet do I feel angry or resentful for. Anyone that has done anything to me, I will purposely work through releasing and forgiving and doing my best to understand so that energy is released from my field and I can create positively. Because something that we don't realize, our life force, the energy that's in our body, our life force is the most valuable thing that we own. Forget everything else. That life force will heal you or destroy you, and it will heal and create everything around you. So if you value that life force like gold and treat it like the most valuable thing and start to pay attention, where am I sending my life force? Am I sending it to anger and resentment over here to this person? Am I pissed off in traffic over here? Like spreading my energy, right? And now it comes time for me to create something big and special, but I feel like out of sorts. Why? Because you sent your energy everywhere. There's a frequency, and if you cultivate it and build it internally, you can direct it to the things that you want to create. And that is power. You call that energy back and direct it to the things that you want to create. Magic happens. It's my favorite word, magic.
Magic it is. And I can hear Tony Robbins when you speak, like
That's
when you
funny.
talk about life force and how to direct it and to concentrate on it. Yeah, I can relate to that. And can you share an example of how these beliefs have influenced a major business decision?
A major business decision. I mean,
Any
I'll
top of
tell you
mind
this.
stories?
So here's an example of where it doesn't work for you. So some people may work for a company or be doing something for them and for themselves in their career, and it doesn't feel right. So if it doesn't feel right, maybe there could be some toxicity in the company they're working at. They're not feeling appreciated. They're really not aligned. It's really important that we create alignment with our values and what's important to us, because often people will stay in an environment that's not supportive of them, thinking that this is where I'm gaining my power. I need to stay here because this is feeding me. If we flip that way of thinking and understand, I'm going to cultivate my power, build it inside of me, and direct it to my job, and understand that the job now isn't the life force. I'm the life force. I'm the power generator. So now I can release the attachment off that job and take that energy and allow it to go somewhere else that's actually going to feed me. There's been many times where I've decided or left something that wasn't working for me, and the decision to leave something that wasn't in alignment, once that door closed, 4 other doors immediately opened. And it's
Yeah.
like there's that moment of fear, like, how do I not let go of that? If you're fearful of losing something, you've made that more powerful than you. That's your light bulb moment to say, wait, I've given that more power than myself. I need to reassess. I need to now work on cultivating my power internally so that doesn't own me. Nothing owns me. I am the power source. So instead, I'm going to pull that energy back and redirect it, and now I can create something really special. That shows up in work, in life, in relationships, literally everywhere. So you can use that on a day-to-day basis, but it takes that moment to recognize, if I'm in fear, I've made something outside of me powerful when I am the powerful one. Let me build my power up and move from that direction.
Thank you for the reminder. And before we get into business and understanding better your program, Breaking Cinderella, continuing on the spiritual and philosophical beliefs, what role does spiritual or emotional wellness play in your Breaking Cinderella program?
emotional wellness and it's part of mindset, right? Like we make decisions emotionally and we justify it with logic. So people think, oh, I'm logical. Well, yes, but we've had studies now that show us you can't make a decision without your emotional brain involved with the decision making. So when we understand that, we need to maintain that frequency again, because we lose track of the ability to manage our emotions when we allow everybody else to come into our field, and like energetically we're getting stressed and this person's bringing their problems. And so it's about really stopping and taking a moment to say, okay, I'm going to not take on everybody's energy. We go as far as to do energy work. And when I say energy work, it's a visualization process where we imagine grounding out certain energy and pulling in the energy that we want. And by doing that, it's a frequency that you're calling forward. And it sounds so simple and something that like this, there's no way this would work, but like magic, it works. I've literally talked to someone once that was in absolute tears about a decision she made, hysterical, could barely breathe, crying. Talked to her, walked her through. I was like, okay, let's slow down, because right now you've taken on this energy and we need to release it for you to be at a balance. And then we can talk further, but we need to get you balanced because right now you're out of balance. So we grounded out this energy. We walked through it, brought in her back in. And literally, it was like the most, for me to this day, I still use the story all the time because it was so extreme. Here she is hysterically crying to me, losing it. Let's say 5 minutes later, she's looking at me like, Rola, oh my God, what was I thinking? I can't believe I was thinking that way. And I'm like, mind blown. I know it works, but when you see it like from 0 to 100 in minutes, it's like, wow, it's like, it's just such a clear reminder that this work works.
And what would you call these techniques? Is it NLP, hypnosis, Reiki? What is it?
That I classify under energy work, but it's a visualization of moving energy, purposely, intentionally moving energy.
Okay. Moving a bit towards marketing, and I know that you really have special techniques and strategies, and you've implemented a lot of stuff in the past. However, now when it comes to your leadership program, what marketing strategies are you implementing to promote it?
Marketing strategies. Right now we're doing Facebook, Instagram, and organic. Do not underestimate the power of organic. I've had amazing opportunities come that way, especially when you create alignment and then you move from that space.
Word of mouth.
Yeah, there's something to be said when you're really, but then we look at doing partnerships. Partnerships is an incredible way to generate business because you're dealing with people who are dealing with the types of business that you also work with. So it just makes sense to create a partnership that's in alignment and doesn't compete against what you do.
And how do you ensure that your marketing resonates with diverse global audiences?
I mean, that's only applicable if I'm sending it out to global audiences. I mean, I'm doing it to very specific areas. So for example, if my marketing only goes to the US, so very familiar with that market, being in the Middle East. I mean, when it comes to my program, which I have a few, but Breaking Cinderella, the one you referred to earlier, is a program for women on helping them advance their career, going from teammate to executive, right? I want to show them the skill sets and communication strategies in order to advance their career. Now, programs like that may need some cultural sensitivity in certain areas, but I'll tell you, I have had zero pushback here in the Middle East. Like, in fact, the opposites, right? You would think that maybe there might be, but the women's empowerment world is so aggressively moving forward in support of like bringing women into, more aggressively into the workforce, really building them up, that I don't see any issues moving like now or, ever for that matter in the past, but not now.
It's changing. Yeah, the landscape and
It's
the
changed
ecosystem
now.
is changing. The perception is different. And I believe that the Middle East is really in hype and moving even faster than Europe and later on the States. And is it really your area of focus? This is your market right now. You're in the Middle East, and what's next for you in terms of expansion in here and business focus?
Well, even though I've spent a lot of time in Dubai in 2024, more here than the US, I didn't officially move until a couple months ago. Officially moved a couple months ago. But really, the Middle East, Europe, I mean, there's no reason to seclude, my program's online, and I speak on stages. I can speak anywhere. I'm talking to someone about doing a big event in Europe. I'm probably going to Saudi. Like there's no barriers as long as we can jump on a plane. So for me, because I have a digital program, it makes it very easy that I can expand. And especially, and I talk about this in my program, if you want to advance your career, one of the best ways you can do it is get on a stage, get in front of people. How do you do that? You've got to build up your communication skills. You've got to build your presentation skills, the way that you communicate with authority, right? Delivery. It goes back to that story from when I first started my career. Just that way of delivering changed my entire business, right? So those things are really important to advance our careers. And if somebody can get on in front of an audience, and you can do it so long as you create that authority, right? And so that's the biggest thing is right now I'm in the process of creating authority here in Dubai, and thankfully they have been incredible to me. Like they've opened doors, and the opportunities have been I'm very blessed. Alignment.
Exactly that. And I think that you really started doing it. And that's how I heard about you, basically. So the impact is starting to be seen and heard. And yeah, concluding the marketing segment, and before we hop into your business insights, what level of marketing do you include in your programs? How much focus do you give it?
What do you mean by that?
Like, do you teach them how to properly market for their product services if you're consulting a
If you're talking
company or?
about, sorry, if you're, so you, just to be clear, I do a few things, right? I don't teach marketing at all.
Yeah.
I have the Breaking Cinderella program, which is a career advancement program that has a communication, public speaking, presentation, confidence building, et cetera, right? That program. Then I also work with businesses on various strategies for performance strategies. So everything from sales development, presentation skills, communication strategies, things like that, operational. So I don't actually dive deep into marketing at all.
So in that consultancy, when you talk about performance, you don't tackle marketing strategies in it.
I do not know. Sales, yes. Marketing, no.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so let's talk a bit about your company. So, Aller Solutions.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you to start it, and how does it reflect your core values?
So I had mentioned earlier when the last company I worked with sold, I looked at my life and said, okay, what do I do now? And because I'd done sales for so long and I was, done it well, that's when I joined the Kellogg program, sales program, the business school sales training. And from there, it just grew. So that it aligned with me because it made absolute sense. I'd already done it so much, and now I can train other people how to do it. And I had a framework from that school because, when you do something and you do it a little, I would say more naturally, I wouldn't say completely natural because I had to learn this works, this doesn't along the way, like, oh, your tone of voice matters, learn that early. So those things you learn over time, you may not even recognize you do certain things, right? So I had to go through that program to understand these are the strategies that work for sales. And, you just continue to grow and improve on that. But essentially, that's how it started. And it completely aligned with me, obviously, because what else would have made sense at that point?
Yeah. And what's the most rewarding aspect of your work in leadership development?
God, I love when people tell me the results they get. I had one of my favorite stories actually. We did I did a whole training for this one company, both region, the entire country, the West Coast region, the East Coast region. And the West Coast region, I lived in New York at the time. The West Coast region had a a manager basically that was uh, given a higher position, so he left his territory, and it was given to one of the other reps that had consistently been calling me and asking me on how to do things outside of our trainings. So he calls me one day and says, so and so just got promoted. I'm now in charge of this territory, and this one account that he's been trying to close for over a year hasn't been able to. I need help. What do I do? So we go through the communication strategies and identify what the next steps are. And the man who tried for over a year, his senior manager now, couldn't close it. In two conversations, he's now closing this massive account for the company. And so when you hear stories like that, and people come back and say this worked, and my career's this and that. Like, I just had another testimonial. Someone wrote me a testimonial recently, and after we worked through and I taught him how to do the different frameworks, and I call them success strategies for his business and life, to be honest. It doesn't just apply to business. It's amazing how it translates. But he took those frameworks and kept them. And fast forward, I asked him recently, he wrote this testimonial for me. And I was even impressed by the results. He's like, I got promoted 3 times and got a raise, and like multiple raises in a year, kept getting promoted and raises within a year because he applied the things that he learned, and it accelerated his career. So hearing stories like that motivates me. It gets me so excited to see people light up when they maybe don't have hope. And I was the person that could help them see the way to get to the goal. Then for me, that's a win.
Yeah, and yeah, it's actually nice to hear win stories, and what you're doing is actually working, and that's the magic that you were referring to earlier, I believe.
Yes.
What future trends in leadership and performance strategy are you most excited about?
I would say it's slowly gaining traction, but conscious leadership, bringing the self development, the emotional awareness, uh, the level of a deeper understanding on how we operate into the work world. So the mental fitness that we talk about, mental health, right? We take that deeper with practices that support leadership so that under stress, they're not making great decisions, right? And most people are stressed out. Most people are disconnected. If you look at the percentages, they're not in the favor of the company producing great results. Not the majority of companies do not have amazing company culture. It's rare. We really celebrate the companies with company culture when they know how to figure that out. The reason company culture helps companies make money, and why the Googles of the world have really figured this out to help them grow, is, well, let's take it back to energy. There's a frequency that this business is vibrating at. If you've got multiple issues within the business that are very low frequency, they're not all moving in the same direction. They don't have that clarity of vision. They don't have the same processes to support them with the mental fitness support and the success strategies. Then there's disconnect through all throughout the company. And that's what creates that discord, and therefore doesn't help the business accelerate energetically. If all the energy is moving all together, you're going to get a different result. That's why that culture is such a huge factor. And you can't get that until you create more of a consciousness, a deeper understanding why we're doing things, understanding our behaviors. And those simple things, I say simple,
Not that
theoretically
simple.
that they're simple, right? Change
Yeah.
is not easy for most people, but there's a process to change. And when you understand this is how I can create change, here's the framework. Now let's do it, right? So it's just a matter of being given the process and applying it, understanding why you want to do it, how it's going to help you. And now you're not treading in water, trying to move fast, but you're moving slow because you're pushing against a wall, right?
The process might be simple, but executing it might be hard.
Energetically complicated.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we understand exactly how you're doing it, what are your values, what do you value exactly, and what you bring to the table. Just to summarize, Rola's offering services and programs. Give us a big overview.
Well, I think I wouldn't say differentiate me, but I would say what I value about myself is I'm working in a field that I love. I love it, obsessively love it. Like it's Sunday morning. I'm tired. I'm still doing research on my phone because I love this type of work so much. So when you have someone that's obsessive like me, you're going to get better results because I've worked through so many modalities, so many ways of doing things that I can help dissect challenges because I've done it, the business strategy, I've done the self-development strategy, the performance, the leadership, all of the different things that help us implement certain frameworks to help accelerate those results. So because I'm all about accelerated results, if I find out that things are moving slow, I'm like, okay, that means something is off. Of course, things need a timeline, right? You can't push everything so fast, and it's important to move into a state of peace and acceptance. However, also building on the various different strategies to get me there faster. And most
Yeah.
people want accelerated results. So for me, I think I'm very much obsessed about getting accelerated results. So that's why I've done so much work with various different teachers over the course of that, over 20 years now.
And how can people benefit from your expertise and these programs? What are you currently offering?
So I have an online program that Breaking Cinderella is directly for women, but under my company, Allure Solutions, I work with men as well. And then I work with businesses as well. So I go into a business and help them identify where the challenges are, both operationally and with their management, where we can start accelerating results through the frameworks that we apply. So both businesses and people in general can either join our program that's to the public, or if they have a business and a team, then we can work that way as well.
Awesome. Moving to the fire questions. Here are 10 fire questions that I'm gonna be asking you. Ready?
I'm ready.
Morning routines or evening wind downs?
Morning routines.
Physical book or audiobook?
Oh, God, that's a tough one. I can get through a lot more audiobooks, so I'll go with audiobooks.
Innovate or optimize?
Oh man, these are tough. You expect me to choose between innovate and optimize? Those are
Yeah.
both so important. Let's go with innovate.
Face to face or virtual coaching?
Coaching one-on-one would be virtual.
Okay. Rapid growth or steady progress?
I mean, I love my fast framework, so rapid growth.
Data driven decisions or intuitive choices?
Ooh, God, geez. You're killing me here. Those are both so important. I'll say intuition.
Private mentoring or group seminars?
Group seminars.
Venture capital or bootstrapping?
Bootstrapping.
Local market focus or global expansion?
Local.
Work life balance or work life integration?
Work-life integration.
I love that. You made it. Top
I made
answers.
it. Did I pass?
Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of these insights and for being here. Rula, I made you a promise to keep it under 45 minutes, and
Thank
here
you
we
so
are
much.
concluding this episode. It was
Look
on
at you.
fire
Thank you so
throughout.
much.
Thank you for sharing all of these. For our listeners who are inspired by your journey and interested in collaborating or learning from you, so how can they reach out?
Find me on Instagram, Rola Speaks, Rola Speaks.
We're gonna put those in the bio as well. And we wish you well. Best of luck.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Rula.
Carl. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye bye.